get the meeting started. Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's remain standing. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the privilege of serving, Lord. We ask for the wisdom and understanding and knowledge we need to do the best we can for this county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay. We have the minutes from the last meeting to pass around. Right.
Make a motion, we'll pass the minutes as presented.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? Okay. We have any mail? We don't have a county attorney here today. Any committee reports to be spoken of? Okay, Dale, what you got for us?
Hi, everybody. We had a pretty light agenda, commissioners, today. I'll report to you just on a few things. We approved several 144s today. The only one I'll mention is that we did approve a 144 for the county extension office again today, for a new office manager downstairs. And we approved the hire of Nia Frank as our new county extension office manager. So she's a local gal, and we hope that she'll work out okay. And Heather has had quite a hard time getting this position filled. I think the last one she agreed to hire didn't show up for work.
Oops.
So we're hopeful that this will work. We also approved the quarterly claims from the Fayette County Transportation Department for the senior center for $90,019. We learned today from the highway superintendent that the most recent piece of equipment that we bought, the new brush cutter that was supposed to be here this week, has been delayed by a month, so it won't be here now until they're telling us July the 5th. So it's a really neat piece of equipment. When we do get it, I'd like for all of you to see this thing work.
So it gonna cause a problem right now, or do we still have something we can use?
No, we're still using the old equipment. But this new one is going to be a big improvement.
Okay.
So we're just going to get it 30 days later than what we anticipated. We also approved a new contract for food service at the jail today. We're moving away from the current provider to a company called Canteen Services Incorporated. Our current provider well, I guess they've had some problems. They weren't quite happy with their menu, and their prices are going up. They had scheduled increase in their prices up to $2.17 per meal. So this change that's going to take place towards the end of the month, Canteen Services is going to provide meals for $1.91 per meal, and that's in the 130 to 150 meal per day range. the more they serve, the cheaper they get. The less they serve, the more expensive they get. So our jail population is typically between the 130 and 150 mark. So I think that that's a reliable number, and I think we can count on the $1.91 per meal. So it's going to wind up being a savings, and how much of a savings is all going to depend on the actual jail population over a 12-month period. So this, this is information that you'll definitely need to calculate when you get into budget hearings later this year. So we hope this works.
Are they aware that we may also need them for the other facility also?
Well, it doesn't matter which facility they would be in. The numbers wouldn't change with the new facility. It's just going to be, the population is going to be more separated.
Yeah.
But I think these are reliable numbers. Also, we've talked some about the LAIR grant for Man Love Park. Our Jolisa Bates sent out the request for proposals on Monday, and the DNR wants us to have 3 quotes, and we've given them until May the 22nd to have the proposals to us, and hopefully at the first meeting in June we'll award someone the contract to develop the sediment removal plan for Man Love Park. And the goal is to get that plan done by late October, and then next year we can apply for the $100,000 grant to actually start removing sediment from that lake. I'm quite sure the plan will include a total replacement of the current spillway that's been there since 1939, but it does have a fair amount of undercutting. But we'll see where this goes. But this little project is progressing as good as we can expect, and I'm very optimistic about it. So a month from now, I think we're going to have a contractor working on putting the plan together.
Okay. Have you heard any more about the air handling unit for the jail yet?
No, as a matter of fact, I called our contact with North Mechanical Monday and got the message that he was on vacation until May the 9th. So I don't know where they're at with their work on that.
So that's just on hold for right now.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So all we can do is wait.
Okay. They're working up another bid for us?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Okay.
What about the women's facility? Updates on that?
I was over there just today. I'm over there 2 or 3 times a week. The plumbing contractor finally did get done. They have all the underground plumbing in place, and the contractor that's going to pour the concrete floor is over there working now. They've been installing rebar and vapor barrier right now, getting everything set to pour the floor. Now they think that they may be able to start pouring that floor by the end of this week. All depending on how things go for them. So anytime any of you want to, just stop in over there and look in. The door's open when they're over there working. You can see how the things are going.
Are they on track as far as time? Are they on track?
Oh, they're behind.
I think they're behind.
Yeah.
I think the plumbing contractor didn't come through as quickly as they thought they would. But they've got their September 30th deadline and we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Thank you, Dale.
Okay.
Is there any old business to discuss? New business? Prosecutors Diversion Fund? Grant? Anybody here in the prosecutor's office?
Colin said he was gonna be here.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Bob. Colin handed me his report. He's currently tied up somewhere else, and I left him in there in the office. I'll go get him and then pass him out to you. It's a one-page report on his, I'll have to remember the title of it. I'll go get it.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
You could put one drug court, he's here.
Okay. So, drug court?
What I handed out to you guys earlier was the annual report for the drug court. The basics to it are each year, for those of us with this recidivism reduction program grant through IDOC, we have to submit an annual report to both entities, the county and the city council, for them to review and approve. The basics to it being, we get a grant each year. Our grant for last year was about $125,000. We ran up, basically spent the entire amount. We were just about $1,400 short of that to run the program. Got quite a bit done last year with it. We ended up taking in a little over $23,000 total in project income. We used some of that to help run the program as well. We ended up spending about $6,000 of that, pocketing or putting the rest away into an account, squirreling it away for upcoming events, anything that we're doing for program participants, or just getting ready for the following year. With what we were able to do this year, we managed to do a little over 2,100 drug screens, which is a huge amount of screens for about 20 people in the program throughout the entire year. But out of those 2,100 plus screens that were done, we had less than 30 of them come back positive. So we're doing real well on keeping everybody, as far as use, down. With it being a rehabilitation program, it's obviously excellent when they're not using it. We were able to get in some grants from local entities that helped us out even more, especially with the drug screens, because I had wanted to try to get in and get more screens done and try to catch more stuff that we weren't normally testing for. So we wrote a couple of grants, one to the Fayette County Foundation, one to the Drug Coalition. They both funded those grants, which allowed me to increase drug screens by about 50% for the year in total, and then also increase the type of screen. We screened for more substances, which thankfully were all coming back negative for us. So as far as the year that we had, pretty busy, pretty productive year. We had a on-site review for certification status. Again, they do that every 3 years for us. They passed us. They had a couple of critiques as far as paperwork goes. They just wanted us to update some stuff, not that we were doing anything wrong, just that paperwork was a little bit out of date. They wanted to bring it up to kind of normal verbiage for nowadays. Otherwise, the certification went really well. On top of that, we had an audit of the program, kind of an evaluation for the entire program. Had an outside entity check us out and see how we were doing. They came back saying that we were doing really well. The only issue being they want to see us have more case managers working. Right now, with me being the only person working it, I run everybody in the program on my own and check all that out. So I agree with them. We do need more people to help run the thing, but overall, it's a phenomenal year. We did really well.
Where did your screenings come from? From on probation? Is it coming from work release or all over? Where do you get your?
So I purchased the drug screens through a company.
Well, I don't mean the drug screenings, but the individuals that you're screening.
Oh, okay, so program participants that come onto the program, they are in what's called a post-conviction status with us. So they go all the way through the court system, they get their
That's
final
where I'm
sentence
coming
from the
from.
judge,
Yeah.
but before they actually take off to prison, because everybody that comes into the program is a felon, before they actually take off to prison, they get the chance to stop with me, see if they can do it correctly, if they
This
can
is
do
in
the
lieu of
program.
going to prison, then they stay on.
Correct.
Okay,
And
okay.
if they can't for some reason do the program, then they're ultimately terminated or withdrawn from the program, then they go away to the prison sentence that they pled for.
So if they fail, if some of these failures here, are they out of the program though? They go to jail, or do you give them a lifeline if it's just like marijuana, but if it's more, I saw one here for morphine, a couple for fentanyl.
Yeah, so when it comes to the drug screens, having a positive screen isn't a deal breaker for us because it's rehabilitation for a disease. So it's not going to be just cured overnight, especially if it's 20 plus years of drug use. I can't fix it in 18 months necessarily. So there's a little bit of that where you may get positive screens on somebody for a little while before we can actually get that enough of the teaching in to get them to stop on their own. The majority of the screens that we have that come up positive are actually from the very first few months of them being in the program. It's from them coming in off of their bond condition or getting started on the program with us that way. They start off with some positive screens at first. Very rare is it for us when they're actually on the program for them to start testing positive. And normally if they start testing positive while they're on the program, there's other factors at play. There's other things going on, something that took them to that route of going back to use. So there's
I
some
knew this
teaching
program was
moments.
very successful, and I was just surprised to even see 30.
Yeah,
You said,
we-
you said that was a good number, and I was actually surprised to see 30, because I thought, you know, when they get into this program, they don't want to go to jail, so.
You know, that is certainly one of those factors when you know that you have this end result in the program. If you can't make it through to the end, you know that you're going to prison. That's explained on day one, because everybody takes that from just to get onto the program. But that's not necessarily as much of a threat to some of the participants as it would be to us. We don't like the idea of going to prison because we've never actually spent much time there. But if your entire life you've spent in some sort of an incarcerated environment, going away isn't necessarily a big deal.
Okay, I had another question real fast here.
Yeah.
The project income
Yes,
that
ma'am.
was collected and net project income, what is the projects, what is the income from?
So
'Cause I'm new to council, so I don't know what projects you have.
Absolutely. So project income is the fees that they pay to participate in the program.
Okay.
There's a few different types of fees. There's an administration fee just for me running them on programs, so I can do paperwork and stuff like that. There is a drug screening fee where they have to actually pay for the drug screen they're using
Okay.
and for us to administer them. And then there's the additional fees of like their home detention, because we have to monitor on home detention, run a GPS monitor on them and verify their location, those sort of things. So that whole cost of them, the first part of the period, or first part of the program when they are in the work release facility, we have to obviously pay for them to be in the work release facility, pay for the lights and whatnot to keep them there, the beds. And then we have the cost of the GPS monitor the whole time that they're there. When they're on home detention, we're still monitoring them for us to go do home searches and all that as well. So it's just the project income, the project is just the program as a whole.
I get
It's
you.
just the cost
Okay,
of
thank you.
Sir, 29 out of 2180 equates to about 1.3% of all the drug screens. So I think that's pretty good. But a couple things. How many of the 2,180 drug screenings? How many people has that come from?
So we ran an average of about 22 participants last year. So to
22.
break it down, what it comes down to is an average of about 3 drug screens per week per participant
Okay.
for the entire time they're on program.
And of the 29 positive drug screens, how many people does that come from?
I don't have that number right offhand.
Because obviously, I mean, you could have one person have multiple positive screens.
Which is
right?
what we have.
Maybe
The
all
number,
29.
the number of actual positive participants is much lower than that. It's less than 10. I just don't have the number direct off my
Okay,
head.
all right, that's fine. And it says here, positive with prescription screens were removed from values.
Yes.
So if we were to add those prescription positives in, what would we,
There are some participants that test positive on every single screen because of the prescription medications that they have.
okay.
There
What kind
are-
of prescription screens are we talking about? Stuff for allergies or?
No. The rehabilitation environment has a type of medication called MATs, medically assisted therapies, which are medications given to people to help curb the enthusiasm towards
Drugs.
hardcore
Right.
medication. So the one that we most commonly have for the program
Methadone.
is Sublocade,
Okay,
which is an injectable version of like Suboxone.
Okay.
Suboxone being the pill form, which is harder to regulate.
right,
Sublocade, you have to go into a doctor and get a shot administered.
Right.
Much more difficult to try to play games with. So
right,
we do have some participants that are on a medication like that, which would carry through basically for the entire time they're in the program, because the MATs are long-term type
okay.
medications.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Brandon, you said they said that they'd like to see you have more case managers?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they say they was gonna give you more money?
No.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
No. Unfortunately, not. Every single year when I write the grant, I write requesting for an additional person. So far, nothing's happened. I'm hopeful we have a couple other grants out. There's the opioid settlement grant. Hopefully, if that's funded, that'll be funded for an additional person. That's what I was asking for on it when I put in my part. If that does come about, then excellent. I'll have additional people. Additional employees in the program means additional participants that can be brought on, which means that we're, having more of an impact community-wise on it. But
Yeah, I know you have your hands full, so I was kind of surprised that they said that.
yeah, that's kind of been the talking point with the program ever since I joined in, is we really do need to have an actual dedicated case manager to it. The program is restricted to a maximum capacity of 30 people because that's what IOCS, the governing agency for this, says. You can't have more than 30 people on a caseload per full-time employee.
So it'd be double with one more. right?
Theoretically. But with me running both sides of it, both as the administrator of the program and the only case manager for the program, I can honestly only handle 10 to 15, and the state has come through and suggested that we only keep it at about 10 participants. I run higher than that because the need's higher.
There's others out there that need to be brought in.
Oh yeah, I have people stacked up in the queue wanting to come to the program. I just don't have space for them. I just can't run that many people at once. I've tried. When I first got into the program, we were running up to 25, 28 participants in the program. The maximum number of people I've had in the program is 32, and it's completely unmanageable. When I'm trying to watch GPS and show up at houses and make schedules and do hour-long case plan meetings for each person, there's only so much time in the day, and that
Sure.
eats up every bit of it.
Okay.
Would an administrative assistant type person help you?
To a degree, it might. The only problem being, how do I get them up to speed and maintain all of what I'm currently doing? Getting a case manager up that would be permanent would be much easier because the case management work is much easier than the administration work. Unfortunately, the administration is mostly the grant writing and all those components to it. It's a lot less of the paperwork. Granted, there is a lot of paperwork that moves through, but a lot of the administration time is just spent on writing grants, doing the additional reports of grants, all that kind of stuff.
Have you ever thought of, and I don't even know if you're allowed to, have you ever thought of an intern from Ivy Tech in case
No.
that's working on their, because they have to intern for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, that's something that I actually posed to IOCS when they were doing our site audit this year. I asked them about having an intern come in. They don't have any restrictions against it other than maintaining confidentiality of the program like it is. The only problem that I run into there is the intern's not able to do a lot of the case management work because of what the case management requires. They would be more on the paperwork side of things, entering in data for me as needed. And honestly, entering in the data is the easiest part of what's going on. I can sit there and within a few hours, I can punch in all the data for the day or for the week, depending on what it is that I'm looking at. Entering in a drug screen only takes me a few seconds because I've done thousands of them. But the other case management work is the intensive part to it. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon.
I'm just
Appreciate it.
curious. I have interns that come and they can help a lot.
Yeah.
But I know yours is a lot more detailed.
Different, okay. Okay, thank you, Brandon.
The only thing that I need as far as your guys' part to it is I just need a vote to, I don't know exactly what the wording is. I need you guys to vote to accept the paper.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept
Second.
the report by Brandon Burgess.
Second?
Okay. Have a second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Brandon. Okay, Dale, what you got for us?
Brandon, keep watching out for it, okay?
Yeah, I've got here, folks, this is the annual report on the Department of Corrections felony diversion report. And this grant-funded program is administered by the deputy prosecutor. And one of the requirements, one of the grant requirements is that this annual report be delivered to you and accepted by you.
Thank you.
And Colin Judd would have normally been here to do this himself. He had another obligation that he couldn't get out of, so he asked me to deliver this for him. And the report itself is pretty self-explanatory. It's out of my wheelhouse, and I'm not prepared to answer any questions about it. But I think that he would ask you to do the same thing with this you just did for Brandon, to vote to officially accept his report. And if there's anything else in that nature needed, I can't know what that might be, but I think that would be.
These were all diversions, right?
Right.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept his report.
Second?
Motion made second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, transfer request for transferring funds, seminars and training to account, Social Security, $364. Who's asking for that? That's Kelly for paying the Social Security.
She's the 911, please come to her.
I'm Lindsay. I work over there, so I'm representing, I guess, tonight. I'm here on Kelly's behalf to ask for unappropriated funds for our new 911 system. Basically, we lose 911 calls when they come in. Sometimes monitors will go out. We've had 2 go down so far. We've been lucky enough to get them back up, obviously. The equipment is 13 years old as of now. So she's going for new equipment. 13 years on here, $28,000.
It's the third one down.
Yeah, you dropped down to the
We were first looking at the transfer,
transfer of funds.
Yeah.
Okay.
the $364
Yeah, for
transfer.
Social Security.
Okay.
Can we talk about that one first?
Yeah.
That she didn't say.
It's just transferring from one fund to the other, from seminars and training
Yeah,
to Social
shouldn't be a big
Security.
deal.
Okay, I don't know nothing. She didn't say anything about that one.
Well, I'll make a motion that we pass the $364 transfer request.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we got that.
Thanks for that one.
Let's take them in order. Transfer general fund, transfer request, Civil Defense Department from account, equipment to account, other supplies, $1,073.97.
We're gonna come back.
That's EMA.
That's EMA, that's Wade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we need
Well, let's
to
just
skip to
okay,
the
let's
third
go back
one.
to
Go back to
28,000.
911, yeah.
Okay, let's go back. Okay, now go with your 28,000. Sorry about that.
No, you're all right. I'm not sure what I'm trying here. So we're asking for the unappropriated funds for the new 911 systems. We need new equipment for that. The monitors that went out, we've been able to get them back up, but they're 13 years old. So we're trying to, on borrowed time, I
What was the
think.
downtime when it was, when they went down? I mean, you said you were able to get them back up. And how
Yeah,
long
we had
were
to
they
call
out?
Mike. Mike came over, got a new monitor from, I'm gonna assume probably the basement. So now we don't have any touch screens on that one. You have to find your mouse, which takes time sometimes.
Sure.
So, it works, but I mean, it's a Band-Aid.
So it took a little while.
So we have two. So the first console, it still works fine. You know, when I say fine, I say, you know, functions are working for now, but how long, like I said, I don't know.
How many times did they go out?
13 years. Twice since this year,
Twice this year.
since January.
Okay.
And like I said, they're 13 years old, so she would know more on
I got you.
what that number would mean.
And this is separate of all the new equipment that was purchased last year, right?
Yes.
Or is this,
We haven't got that working
This
yet?
system is just for 911 calls only. That's the only thing that goes through this system is 911 calls.
So when you say equipment, are you talking just monitors? Because equipment is kind of, what is the equipment?
Well, there, yeah, monitors is part of it, but then there's, like, I don't know all into it, but there's the GIS system, which is the mapping system. So like, when you call, it automatically plots where you're at. So to have that, I'm sure there's some other system down below us in the basement somewhere that goes along with, to do that. There's the systems, you know, to transfer, say, something happens in Wayne County and they're all busy, we have what we call rollover. So it will roll over to us so that we can answer it for Wayne County, and then we can transfer it back to Wayne County. So the same thing would happen here. So when we have a PI accident in town, which is a personal injury accident, you get 900 calls. Everybody calls. We can only answer 2 of those, so everybody else's call has to go somewhere. So when our lines are busy, it bounces to Rush County, it bounces to Wayne County or Union County. So when they get our calls, they have to transfer those back, and it's vice versa. When we get their calls, we have to do the same thing.
So this equipment that you're going to get is going to stop that. You're going to get all the
It won't
calls.
stop it, but it updates all that.
Kelly texted me on my way over here because she had to go to the dentist or something. That's why she sent her in there. Kelly told me that they're having trouble with the monitors, the towers, and the phones because they're so old. They're not talking well with the new equipment.
so they did get the new
They
equipment?
got the new equipment. It's-
Okay.
The old stuff is not very compatible with the new stuff, and it keeps drops calls.
There's a 13-year difference now.
Yeah, so it can't keep up with the new stuff. So it's never going to work right because it's too old.
How many monitors is this for?
2,
2
1 for
monitors?
each, yeah,
Do
console.
they, is it one company you work with, or do you get bids on it?
I'm gonna assume that's what the Solacom system, refresh is that she got, and that's the 28,000, is the bidding that she got, I'm gonna assume. And that's with the hardware and everything. That's with a, I believe, 5-year warranty on that as well.
Do you have a copy of that, Scott? Is that what you have?
So I got multiples here.
Do you?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what she's looking at versus,
It says
I don't
Solacom
think this is
system
what I have.
refresh.
I don't think
Kelly sent an email with this stuff in it.
today. If so, I didn't get it.
No, it isn't.
So she's got multiple copies here, so.
I think I've seen it.
Has she looked into any grant possibilities?
That I'm not sure.
Well, there was one, but it got lost last year.
I have
because Adrian didn't
another one.
follow up on it.
Yes.
Well, that's part
There
of
were
the
several
problem
that got
with
lost
new
last
equipment too, is like grant.
Well, you know, ma'am, you know, you're kind of at a disadvantage here, right? I get it.
I'm coming from the work side. I'm
Right.
coming from
Sure, I get
answering
it. I get it. So let me ask you a question. Maybe we can kind of put this to bed, but the way things are right now, in the next few years, 911's gonna run out of money. Now, right now, it's okay, right? Using that $28,000 makes that gap a lot closer. Is this monitor, these there's equipment that needs to be cleared purchasing. Is that, in your opinion, important enough
I
that you're
100%, yes.
that you're willing to understand that brings us a little closer
Yeah.
to default?
And the reason I say
On
that is
911.
because I've been on both sides now. I lost a child to SIDS. My mom called from Union County,
Mm-hmm.
and I was here. So when they got the call in Union County, that gave them the ability to transfer it here to get me what I needed where I was at. So with that ability, we're able to do that. So say you get in an accident and your wife calls me and says, my husband's been in an accident and he's in Shelby County. Okay, I have one button I have to push and I'm already on the line with Shelby County. Versus having to go through my system and find the phone number for Shelby County and go to their admin line. So our 911 pushes us to the front of the line. So I guess I look at it on both sides. Yes, I'm on the inside as a worker, but I also have a family on the outside.
Yeah.
That, you know, if that is my family, I absolutely want you to push one button
Right.
because it can be the difference between,
Life
Sure.
and death.
right,
Well, I mean, and again, I was asking you from a
Right.
professional perspective too. That,
Yeah.
You know, and I get your answer loud and clear, and that's what I wanted.
and sometimes, you know, we have 2 or 3 things going on.
Yeah.
So if 911's ringing, plus I have my guys on the road doing traffic stops, it's easier for me to push one button and say, you know, Fayette County with a transfer, and I hang up and I'm done with that call so I can go on to my next.
From our job perspective, we have to be very careful because our financial capabilities are limited,
Right,
right?
right,
So we have to make sure that it's, you know, important enough to spend that kind of money. And so, and 911 is in a jam.
yeah.
And so that's why I asked you that question.
Yeah.
So
Well, what-
thank you for being so honest about it.
You're,
Appreciate
I mean,
it.
that, if we don't, I mean, I guess I look at it, if it's not answered now and it comes out in 5 years and we're in a trouble then, I mean, it's gotta all be,
Yeah, right. I got
answered.
you. I got
So.
you.
From what Kelly told me, that there's time that they're having to spend, go through all the hiccups, this is causing someone in that time period can live or die.
But isn't this upgrade going to maybe be eliminated in the future, which would, I mean, you spend it now, you spend it later.
right. Where this one, I mean, this one's 13 years old, so you gotta figure, you upgrade it now, you're looking at 20 years possibly before you'd have to do that
It's
again.
something we have to buy.
Huh?
It's something we need to buy.
Well, this is, I mean. this
I
is
mean, you
a
buy it now, you buy it later.
related
Right.
to that.
And, you know, between then, if something happens and we didn't replace the equipment,
Could be a liability.
then we'd be in trouble. So,
And this is coming out of Kelly's funds, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So
That's
we
what I
have
was
to approve
wondering.
it.
Is it general fund or?
If she
No,
feels it's that important.
It comes out of Kelly's.
Well, I mean, if you
unused
can't
funds.
hear somebody, how aggravated do you get when you're on the phone and you hear nothing but static, or somebody's breaking up and you can't get the information that you're going for? I mean, it's the same thing on 911, that, you know, it's a broken phone call 90% of the time, or static.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the $28,448.32.
I'll second it.
Got a motion, seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
man.
Now, you're back on schedule here.
Wade, you're
Come
up.
on, Wade.
Wait. We gotta say
He's
no
falling asleep
eventually.
back there.
Yeah, and you're the last guy up, so guess what?
That's okay. I've been last before, so thanks for seeing me tonight. I come to you guys with a couple of additional appropriations and then a transfer request. Which one would you like for me to handle first?
Let's do the transfer.
first.
Okay, so working with Terry here, we thought we were gonna take money out of one line item to pay a few invoices, but she said it needs to come out of a different line item, so I'm just requesting to transfer $1,073.97 from a 400 line item to a 200 line item.
Okay.
What for?
This is for multiple different invoices. Some of them are supplies, things like that, that I bought for the truck, for response, and other small equipment.
You're just moving money inside your department.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the transfer request in the County General Fund 1,000 EMA Civil Defense Department from account 40400 equipment to account 20290.
I won't repeat that.
And I'll second it.
I shouldn't have read it.
I'll second it.
You wanna say the amount, Vivian?
Okay.
Oh, $1,073.97.
Okay. Okay, we've had a request. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you got that.
Thank you. So my next request, we'll do the 2,000 for the Sentry siren.
Yeah, get the easy one first.
Yeah, right. That was the siren that was donated by Bear Creek Boy Scout camp. What it needs to be activated is the right controller. When Bear Creek bought that, they thought they were just going to be pushing the button to control that siren and make it go off because they wanted it for their local area right there. Well, the siren's too big for that and too loud for just a small area. So I reached out to Table Rock, where it came from, where they bought it from, and they said that, you know, I need the control box that is set off by public safety radio frequency. So that cost is actually $1,205. It's actually more than that. It's $1,705, but once I return the current control box that we have that was donated, they'll give us a $500 discount. So I'll do that at the same time that I'm purchasing the control box and ship it out, so I don't have to write a different check and get money back. And then that's also installation, $795 installation. That's to have an electrician wire that before we set it in the ground and set it on a pole.
Where are you putting this at?
The animal shelter on top of the hill.
In case a cat escapes.
Yeah, well, I would rather the siren be right there with the cats and dogs. It would be right on top of it.
What's the range of the sound?
The effective range is roughly what they consider like 2 miles, 2 radio miles, but it's actually, people hear it up to 25 miles away. It's faint at that
At 4 in the morning?
Yeah, so, yeah, and it's really dependent on the topography of our area as well as weather conditions, industry noise, things like that. But it'll cover the majority of everybody right here in central Fayette County.
Okay.
So, now, out where I live in Columbia, down over the hill, you know, Garrison Creek, it may be really faint for us to hear it.
But you'll see the tornado anyway.
Yeah, right. And having the right control box for this siren means somebody doesn't have to get up in the middle of the night and drive and push a button, because then it might be too late.
Right. Okay.
So,
I'll make a motion to pay additional appropriation for $2,000 from general fund 1,000 to account number 20290.
I'll second it.
Okay. Made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay.
awesome. Thank you. So my next appropriation is the big one, and I'm requesting that the council approve this appropriation to install a radio repeater in southwestern Fayette County. It's actually laying on my office floor, the antenna and the repeater, but I need a few things to get it active, and the vendor that we bought it from, J&K Communication, I think you all have a copy of the quote from them. If you don't, I have one. I didn't make multiple copies. But they quoted me a price on what it would cost to get everything working on that. Now, that being said, a repeater has to be put on a tower. So right now, I'm looking at a couple different locations. One is Tower Road, and the other is, I talked to Zach Jones the other day, and he said that there's a tower down by Johnson School Road. I've got to figure out who owns that and see if it's something they would consider letting us put on their tower. With that repeater, we have to have a housing for it. It's basically radio equipment. In my request, I have like a metal shed, a 6x8 metal shed, that we would have to house that communication equipment in to protect it from the elements. As well as the rest of the additional appropriation is to buy one mobile and one portable radio. The radios that I currently have now no longer work. I can't contact the state. I can't talk with them. They say they see my lights light up when I press the mics. They can hear no communications. I asked them about getting them reprogrammed, and because the state no longer supports those style of radios, those older radios, they will not let it be programmed and issue the radio ID. I have to go with the new radio. So with the city of Connersville going to the 800 system, and with the volunteer fire department staying with the 700 megahertz system, I have to have a radio that can communicate both ways. So, and that's what's in my proposal.
Did we not have a discussion to get them on the same wavelength, Scott, or?
Well, I think,
That's up to them though.
yeah, that's up to them. I mean, it's something that we need to encourage.
Right. This gets us a step closer, it really does, because
Yeah.
the grant that I applied for the radios, for all the departments, that brings them all into compliance with each other to where they can talk. We have signed MOUs with all the department heads in the county from public safety, agreeing to share their radio frequencies. So the new radios that we're trying to get through the grant will allow that single communication. They just have to flip to the right channel.
Well, that's good.
You had mentioned at the commissioners meeting that Bentonville has a repeater
They do,
and that Everton.
correct.
Is that at the fire departments then?
It's on the water tower in Falmouth, and Everton's on their water tower.
Okay. I was curious. I assumed you were going to go for Glenwood Fire Department then. Then you mentioned those towers. I thought, okay, where are they at up in
Right.
Bentonville then?
So Glenwood is actually 6 miles away from the repeater, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't do, it works really well in the northwestern part of the county.
Because we're flat.
Right. But
Yes.
anything outside, down south, behind Garrison Creek, you can barely get a cell phone coverage, and that's if you're standing on one of the hills. Radio communications, it's just a complete dead zone.
Okay.
The last call we had was a water rescue out of Garrison Creek area, and I was there, Sheriff's Department was there, and so was Glenwood, and nobody could reach dispatch with our radios. So
Wade, I'm inclined to be in favor of this, but I have to mention here, we've on average spent around 40 grand a year for EMA. We're going to be well over that
Yes.
now with the passage of these two additional appropriations. The DLGF has projected our cash balance to be quite a bit lower this year.
even with,
Listen, I appreciate you trying to catch us up on EMA, right? And I'm inclined to agree with you, they were behind, and so I appreciate that. It's not for me to help you decide what your priorities are, but it is our job to encourage the commissioners to kind of guide their department heads a little bit, that we got to be careful about how much we're spending, okay? So just keep that in mind, because money's getting tight, okay?
understood.
And you'll understand it better at budget time.
What I'm trying, I think what he's trying to say is your department's been neglected for years.
Yes.
And I've told you that.
I'll agree with
But-
that, Jim.
But we cannot make it up in 1 year.
Correct, yes.
We can't make it up in 1 year. We gotta do it over
Over some time.
over
You
time.
should see all the things I want to bring to you.
Well,
I'm trying to pace it, I really am.
I told you before that you guys been neglected.
yeah.
And
The only thing that I have to say on this is, I go back to the water rescue. And I definitely, I want to watch the budget also, but I mean, if you have people's lives at stake and you
Right.
cannot use a radio to contact dispatch, we got a problem.
Well, that's why we approved $115,000 for 911 last year,
Well,
because
but
it's
I'm
something that
not
had to be
talking
done.
911, I'm talking EMA to be able to
Well,
contact
it's all part of the same
them.
thing.
Well,
And I do agree, it ain't gonna be done in 1 year, but if this is, if this is prioritizing where we need to be, and this is gonna get us where we need to be for now,
Right,
and we're not gonna,
right. I won't nickel and dime the council, that's for sure, and I am trying to prioritize what is an immediate need versus what can wait.
we need you to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, and you are correct, it is all part of the same system, so upgrading 911 affects everything.
Yeah.
However, their signal can only reach so far. They need repeaters, they need additional support with other avenues of getting that done. So, and anytime I try to bring something to you all, this is not directly just to benefit the EMA department, it's the entire county that I'm looking out for.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to appropriate the $10,257.82 to account 30831 radio maintenance from the general fund, 1,000.
we're on the one up here above that now, do you?
No, the 10,000.
No, the 10,000.
I think I
Oh, I'm
said
sorry,
it
you're right,
wrong.
okay, you're right, okay, never mind.
You said
You're
it.
right.
Did I say it right?
You're right.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Wade, before you leave, I had a volunteer fireman in Everton I talked to the other day, and I asked how you're doing, and he said, I said, I think a lot about this. I think a lot about this gentleman because, as I mentioned to you, my family experience is much of what he has done. I had an uncle that was civil defense director back when they called EMA director civil defense, and he was also in the Indiana Fire Marshal's office for quite a few years. And so I said, is he doing as good as I think he's going to do? And he says, oh, he's doing great. And he mentioned that when those storms came through the other day, you made phone calls to all of our volunteer fire department personnel, asked if they needed anything. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wade. We've already had a couple of 144s. Any further thing to bring before the council tonight? Okay.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, you stick around till midnight if you want to.